Charlie Chaplin stands in the defendant's box wearing his iconic bowler hat, mustache perfectly groomed, gripping his famous cane. The judge's gavel comes down like a hammer on his dreams. Guilty of moral turpitude. The words echo through the packed courtroom. What Charlie does in the next 3 minutes doesn't just save his reputation, it transforms a legal defeat into an artistic victory that resonates for decades. Los Angeles Superior Court, June 4, 1944. Monday morning, 10:15. Department 43 overflows with spectators, journalists, and curiosity seekers drawn by scandal. The most famous entertainer in the world sits in the defendant's chair, accused of violating the Mann Act, transporting a woman across state lines for immoral purposes. The charge stems from his relationship with Joan Barry, an aspiring actress who claimed he fathered her child. Charlie is 55 years old, 30 years at the peak of fame. The tramp has made him wealthy beyond imagination, beloved by millions. But America in 1944 doesn't forgive moral scandals, especially involving older men and younger women, especially when the man is a foreign-born entertainer who never became a citizen. Judge Charles Fricke presides with the stern authority of a man who believes moral order depends on punishing famous people who step out of line. Silver-haired, wire-rimmed glasses, black robes that seem to absorb light. He's built his reputation on high-profile cases, celebrities brought low by their own appetites. The prosecution's case is simple. Charlie transported Joan Barry from Los Angeles to New York, paid her expenses, engaged in intimate relations. Under federal law, this constitutes a crime punishable by 5 years in prison and $5,000 in fines. Charlie's attorney, Jerry Giesler, Hollywood's most famous defense lawyer, argues the relationship was consensual between adults. No coercion, no prostitution, just a personal affair that shouldn't concern federal authorities. But the prosecution isn't really about legal technicalities, it's about moral judgment. The district attorney paints Charlie as a predatory older man who uses his wealth and fame to exploit vulnerable young women. The jury, 12 men, no women, all white, all middle class, listens with obvious disapproval. Charlie sits through 3 days of testimony that dissects his private life with clinical precision. Love letters read aloud in court, hotel records entered as evidence, intimate details splashed across newspaper headlines. The man who brought joy to millions watches his personal dignity stripped away for public entertainment. The prosecution's closing argument is devastating. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Charles Spencer Chaplin thinks his fame places him above the law. He believes his wealth entitles him to treat women as playthings. He assumes his celebrity grants him immunity from the moral standards that govern ordinary citizens. Today, you have the power to prove him wrong. The jury deliberates for 4 hours. When they return, their faces show the solemnity of men delivering divine judgment. Has the jury reached a verdict? We have, Your Honor. On the charge of violating the Mann Act, how do you find? We find the defendant guilty. The courtroom erupts. Reporters scramble for phones. Photographers' flashbulbs pop like small explosions. Charlie's head drops slightly, but he doesn't show emotion. He's learned to hide behind masks, both literal and figurative. Judge Fricke calls for order, then addresses Charlie directly. Mr. Chaplin, you have been found guilty of a serious federal crime. Before I pass sentence, do you have anything to say to this court? Charlie stands slowly, his iconic cane supporting him. He adjusts his bowler hat with the precise gesture millions have seen in dozens of films. For a moment, the courtroom sees not the defendant, but the tramp, small, dignified, facing hostile authority with quiet courage. Your Honor, may I approach the bench? Judge Fricke frowns. This isn't standard procedure, but curiosity overcomes protocol. You may. Charlie walks to the judge's bench, his distinctive waddle walk drawing suppressed smiles from the gallery despite the gravity of the moment. He stops 3 feet from Judge Fricke and does something unexpected. He removes his bowler hat, places it on the defense table, sets his cane beside it. Then Charlie Chaplin becomes the tramp. Not fully, not obviously, but unmistakably. His posture changes, his shoulders droop, his head tilts. The wealthy defendant disappears. In his place stands the little man with big dreams and fragile dignity. Charlie begins a wordless story. The tramp encounters a flower girl, Joan Barry, represented through mime. She's beautiful, hopeful, selling flowers on a street corner. He's immediately smitten, wants to help her, protect her, shower her with kindness. He offers to buy all her flowers. Doesn't have enough money. Empties his pockets. A few coins, lint, hope. She accepts what he can give with genuine gratitude. The tramp's joy is pure, childlike. He's found someone who sees past his shabby exterior to his generous heart. They walk together. He shows her wonders, imaginary sights only he can see. She laughs at his gentle humor. Then something changes. The flower girl. The entire performance lasts 2 minutes. No words, no sound except the whisper of Charlie's shoes on the courtroom floor and the collective intake of breath from 200 witnesses to something unprecedented. When Charlie finishes, he straightens his imaginary tie, picks up his hat and cane, and returns to the defendant's position. The courtroom is dead silent. Judge Fricke stares. The jury looks confused. The prosecutors exchange glances. Everyone understands they've witnessed something profound, but nobody knows how to respond. Finally, Judge Fricke speaks. "Mr. Chaplin, what was the purpose of that demonstration?" Charlie's voice is quiet, respectful, but unashamed. "Your Honor, that was the truth. I met a young woman. I cared for her. I tried to help her. When she no longer wanted my help, I let her go. If generosity has become criminal, if kindness violates federal law, then I am guilty as charged." The judge leans forward. "But the jury has found you transported her across state lines for immoral purposes." "I transported her because she needed work, needed opportunity. If the law sees immorality in helping someone achieve their dreams, then the law and I disagree about what constitutes virtue." Charlie pauses, then delivers the line newspapers quote for decades. "I am guilty of believing that love, even complicated, imperfect love, is better than indifference. If that makes me a criminal, then I accept the verdict, but I will not apologize for having a heart." The courtroom remains silent. Judge Fricke removes his glasses, cleans them, replaces them. He's sentenced hundreds of criminals, but he's never encountered a defendant who transformed confession into poetry. "Mr. Chaplin, the law is not concerned with your intentions, only your actions." "Then the law is incomplete, Your Honor. Actions without context are just movements. A man who strikes another could be committing assault or saving a life. A man who takes money could be stealing or earning wages. The difference lies in intention, in the human heart that the law refuses to acknowledge." Judge Fricke considers this. Charlie has just argued against legal positivism in a federal courtroom using nothing but mime and metaphor. "Nevertheless, you have been found guilty of a federal crime." "Yes, Your Honor, and I accept the consequences, but I will not accept the judgment that kindness is criminal, that generosity deserves punishment, that love, however flawed, should be condemned by those who have never risked their hearts for another person's happiness." Judge Fricke sentences Charlie to 2 years probation and a $5,000 fine, the minimum penalty allowed. As he delivers the sentence, his voice carries less conviction. "I regret causing pain to people I cared about.
I regret that private matters became public entertainment, but I do not regret trying to help someone I believed needed help. If that makes me guilty in the eyes of the law, then I am guilty, but I remain innocent in the court of my own conscience. The Mann Act conviction doesn't destroy Charlie's career, but it changes it. He becomes more guarded, more careful, more aware that fame is both shield and target. 3 years later, he faces congressional investigations about his political beliefs.